Hey guys, this is a lesson for using multiplication to divide by a fraction. Today we're going to be looking at a fraction divided by a fraction. For example, let's fix that real quick. For example, we have half divided by half, okay, dividing a fraction by a fraction. Today we're going to be using multiplication in the form of using a reciprocal. Okay, so we're going to be practicing using this word here, reciprocal. Okay. First, we're going to quickly go over what an improper fraction is and what a mixed number is, just so we can have a little bit of a refresher on what I need to do when I come across these things. So an improper fraction, for example, is a fraction that has a greater numerator than a denominator. Okay, an improper fraction tells us that there's more than one whole as a part of that fraction. For example, if I were to decompose this, I would have, excuse me, let me get this here. Okay, I would have 3/3, which is the same as one whole, and then I would have 2/3 left. So this would be the same thing as having one whole and 2/3. So an improper fraction, again, is a fraction that has a greater numerator than denominator. This tells us that there's more than one whole. Okay? Looking at a mixed number, that's just what we did with this improper fraction, is a mixed number is mixed. It has a whole number and a fraction friend. Okay, so as a refresher here on how to make a mixed number back into an improper fraction, what I like to do, especially with fractions here, is to think about my denominator. So my denominator tells me how many pieces there are as a part of a whole. So I know that there's thirds, and if I have one whole, that means I have 3/3. And then I'm just going to bring down my fraction friend. Add those bad boys together, and I'll have 5/3. Okay. All right, looking at this first problem here, it says Paulo and Amy each have 3/4 cup of feed left in their bags of chicken feed. Paulo uses half a cup of feed each time he gives his chickens a meal. Amy uses 3/2 of a cup each time she gives her chickens a meal. How many meals can Paulo give his chickens? How many meals can Amy give her chickens? So there are some things that we know here. We know that they each have, let's get a different highlighter here. They have 3/4 of feed left. That's important. Paulo, his whole meal is usually half a cup. Amy's whole meal is usually 3/2. Okay. So in thinking about, first of all, let's think about half a cup. Half a cup is halfway full, right? What about 3/2 of a cup? I noticed, like that slide I talked about previously, if we have a numerator that's greater than a denominator, it means there's going to be more than one whole. So Amy is going to feed her chickens more than a cup and a little bit more. So I can already just by reasoning know that she's not going to have enough to make a full meal. So let's do some math here. Okay, so let's start with Paulo. Okay, Paulo, we know, has 3/4 cup of feed left. And his original meal is half, right? Because that's how much he feeds his chickens every time. So if that's true, that's what he normally feeds them. If that's true, then how much can he feed them with what he has left? So when we're dividing fractions, we're actually going to multiply by its reciprocal. So we're going to look at the divisor here, and we're going to take that reciprocal and multiply it times the dividend. So I'm going to have 3/4, which is my dividend. Now I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of the divisor. So that means I'm just going to flip my fraction, and then I can go ahead and just multiply straight across. So my numerators, 3 times 2 is 6. My denominators, 4 times 1 is 4. Here again, I have another improper fraction where I can simplify that. I know that I have 4/4 or 1 whole, and then I have some left, which is 2/4. If I were to simplify that, I would have 1.5. So Paulo can get one full meal and then half of a meal with what he has left. Let's look at Amy. We already reasoned that Amy's probably not going to have enough just by looking at how much she feeds her chickens and how much we can think about she already has left. So we're going to start with 3/4 because that's how much chicken feed she has left. Her serving size is usually 3/2. Oops, that was not the highlighter. Let's get blue. Okay. So we know that we're going to be using the reciprocal here. The reciprocal is the opposite, like it's flip-flopped of the divisor. So let's go ahead and rewrite that. We'll do 3/4, that's our dividend, times the reciprocal, which is 2 over 3. We'll multiply our numerators, 6, and our denominators, 12. I know that can be simplified down to half. So Amy only has enough for half a meal for her chickens. So what we've learned here is Paulo and Amy need to get to the pet food store and get some more feed for their chickens. All right, if we were going to look at it in a visual model, this is kind of what we did last time when we were understanding fractions. Like, how can I split this with a visual model so we can see that he can get half that one meal here, so he can get one whole meal and half. And then when we looked at Amy's, how much does she usually feed the chickens? Well, she can only get that much of her meal left, which is pretty sad. All right, and then here's what we did is we used multiplication to divide. So what we did was we just grouped it, right? How many groups we had here? Okay. Now we're going to go to this next problem. No word problem attached to it. We'll just go ahead and do the math here. We have 2/3 divided by 2/5. And this 2/5 here is our divisor. So this is the one that we're going to use its reciprocal for. So we'll rewrite our dividend, 2/3, times the reciprocal of the divisor. So again, we're just flip-flopping this guy right here. Okay, and we'll multiply our numerators, 10, and our denominator, 6. I can see here that I have an improper fraction, so I'm going to go ahead and count by 6s until I get to 10. 6. There's only 6 there, which is 1. If I had 10 and I pulled out 6, what's left? 4/6. So really this is the same as 1 and 4/6. That's an okay answer, but 4/6 can be reduced. I know that 2 goes into both of these numbers, and that can go down to 2/3. So we can make it 1 and 4/6 or 1 and 2/3. Looking at this next one, we've used the formula area equals base times height. In this problem here, we know that the parallelogram has an area of 1 1/8 yard squared. So we have the area already. We have that. And then we also have our height. So what we're missing here, what we're solving for, is the base. So the way I'm going to do that is I need to think about how can I rework this to figure out the unknown. Well, these two numbers or these two variables, when they're squished together like this, they're being multiplied. And the way to isolate the base is to do its opposite. So if they're being multiplied, we're going to do the opposite by dividing the part that we need to get away. Okay, so these go away, and then our b is left by itself, and then we have h divided by, well, a divided by h, more like. Let's rewrite that. So a divided by h. Okay. So we are going to just fill in our numbers now. Now that we have our formula all worked out to find the base, to find this missing number, we're going to put in our area, which is 1 1/8, and our height, which we know is 3/4. So base equals 1 1/8 divided by 3/4. Now this one looks pretty similar to the ones that I've already been doing, but I have a mixed number here, and we can't really work with a mixed number. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that one into a improper fraction. So I've taught you guys how to do it using fractions and also using the roundabout way. So we can multiply and add and put over our denominator. So that's one way to do it. The way that I prefer to do it is by using the fraction pieces. So we know that we have eighths. So I'm going to count by eighths to get to 1. That's 8/8. And then bring down my fraction friend, add those together to get 9/8. Okay, so really what we're doing here is 9/8 divided by 3/4. And again, just like our other problems, we're going to use the reciprocal of the divisor and multiply. So we can do 9/8 times the reciprocal, 4/3, and then just multiply our numerators. 9 times 4 is 36. 8 times 3 is 24. We have an improper fraction here, so we're going to need to reduce it. Again, this is fine if you have it as an improper fraction, but the best way to have it is its most simplest form or as a mixed number. So we can kind of get an idea of the size of the number. So one way we can do it is with long division, or we can do it with fraction pieces. I like to do it with fraction pieces. There's 24 that I can take out, which is 1 whole. And what I have left would be 12 over 24. So that's the same as 1 and 12/24. Again, I can simplify that a little bit down, and I would get 1.5. All right. So we're looking here, it takes Francisco 5/6 of a minute to upload a video to his blog. How much of one video can he upload in half a minute? Show your work. So if he only has half a minute left, kind of like when Paulo and Amy only had 3/4 of feed left, how much is he going to be able to upload of his video if it takes him 5/6 of a minute? So we are going to go ahead and use the divisor here. We're going to use its reciprocal. So we'll rewrite that as 1/2 times 6/5. We'll multiply our numerators and our denominators, and we come out with our answer here as 6/10 of the video is going to be able to be uploaded in the time that he has left.